Let's talk about the ego and what it really is. People generally understand the ego as what you say you are or how you think yourself to be. This is the general understanding. The ego is basically whatever you say I am, whatever comes after that, right? So if you think you are something, whatever that is, then that is what you will generally become. But let's talk about what is actually happening here and the mechanics of it, because essentially, in order for you to believe that you are something, you must have some kind of connection to it, some kind of pathway in order to become that. So you might say, I'm a swimmer, I'm good at swimming, but you might have never actually swam in your entire life. But you're saying this in order to put yourself in the shoes of a swimmer so that you can then become good at swimming. And it's easy to say something like this, right? Because you've seen other people do it. You know that it can be done. You know what kind of motions to do. And so you tell yourself that you're a swimmer so that you can swim. That is, if you're being conscious with your ego. But the reality is your belief, and that belief is stemming to a connection. So that connection is actually felt. So when you get in the water and start swimming, you'll begin to feel a connection with how you can actually stay afloat and what motions you need to make. So more than being the ego identified, more than being identified with the thing in question, you end up just becoming that thing, which is actually just a feeling. This is also allowing you to believe. This belief is the feeling. And in order to become something, you have to feel it. You have to end up having a feeling for it, which requires a path to becoming it. Now, people generally understand this, even if they don't specifically understand all of the details. But I say all of this to say that there's something critical about the ego that a lot of people don't understand at all. And that is that the ego is mindless. It doesn't think. It doesn't understand anything. It doesn't have a mind at all. It uses your mind. What the ego really is your ability to believe in something. What you believe in is your ego, essentially. If you believe in something, anything, your ego is out there being that thing, essentially. But only if you actually believe in it. And it's not necessarily the thing that it's actually named either. What it actually is what feeling you have to it. It is only that and nothing more than that, regardless of what name you give it. I think a lot of people um, identify with their ego, and they think that somehow their ego is something. They think that it's not even them, really. In a way, they think that it's somehow this separate thing, but it's actually not separate. It's actually just you. It's your feelings. It's what you believe in. And it's showing you or whatever your feeling is, it is showing you that path. It's showing you what you, either negatively or positively, what you want to become or what you don't want to become. It's showing you both, because your ego is not just whatever you say you are. It's all of your feelings. Essentially, if you think of yourself as being the center, your ego would be the perimeter, and it would include negative and positive. But the key thing I want to stress here is that it is without a mind. It has no mind whatsoever. It is what you believe in. So, what do you believe in? That's essentially the ultimate question when it comes to what your ego is and who you really are. What do you really actually believe in? Like, actually. And not just what do you, quote, believe, right? It's not what you say that you believe. It is what you actually believe. It's what you actually feel. It's how you think. Which means that if you think, I feel bad, then your ego feels bad. And it's not just, I think, right? Because you're not thinking. It's having the thought and then identifying with that as a belief. You actually put yourself in that space to be able to believe that. You feel that. So at the same time that ego can sort of trap you into your own negative things, it can also free you and bring you into positive things when you realize that you can have both or either. You don't have to be trapped in one or the other, because you can realize that you're not actually the thought itself, but rather you're the one having the thought. So you can re-identify with thoughts. And of course, then you can get into extreme egoism after this, which is sort of a rampant problem in today's world, because people will just start claiming, oh, I'm this, and jumping into whatever and fighting for something. And I guess it's not really a problem. It's just it's a cause for a lot of, for pretty much all competition. So, I mean, you can call it competition, but at the same time, you have to consider the pathway, and a lot of people just ditch the pathway. They're like, I don't care about that, and they just jump all in and essentially divorce themselves from what they had previously been. But this essentially is the problem, because if you do that, now you're you're essentially divorcing yourself from your first estate, which is how you were born, which is you're born under, shall we say, a set of stars, and that is your starting progression. But if you discount this, which you can if you get to a certain point, and essentially what you end up having in today's world is a bunch of I guess it's called egotism or whatever. You end up having extreme egoistic fantasies which can't really be realized in any kind of legitimate way. There's a lot of people that end up just using bullying tactics to get to get a position anyways, regardless of whether or not they had a legitimate way there. And in fact, they actually claim that getting there and staying there through whatever means, bullying and, trauma and everything else, I guess you could all be classified as bullying, but they actually claim that by staying there, they have have some right to be there. They're claiming that their way of being there is legitimate, even though it's not really. They're saying that by virtue of them being there, that's proof that they have earned it. And they may have gone through a lot of difficulty and pain to stay there. Maybe. It depends. But that is completely irrelevant to legitimacy, even though they're claiming that it is legitimacy. So let's talk about belief, because belief is at the core of what ego is. What you believe in is basically what you really are on the inside. Essentially, what do you believe in, right? Like, who are you, not as what you are on the outside, but who are you as in what kind of person do you feel yourself to be? Like, what is your internal constitution, essentially? This internal constitution creates your belief. You don't choose what you believe in. It's impossible to choose what you actually believe. It's only possible to change what you are by changing who you are, by changing how you feel, by changing how you interact with yourself. So belief is something that you internally are, not something that you choose. You can choose a different belief only when you are able to change who you really are. And this is the part of the ego that is mindless. The reason why I'm saying that it's mindless, because your belief doesn't have a mind of its own. Your ego doesn't have a mind of its own. Your own consciousness is the only mind.